So, Scott Adkins is a British actor renowned for his dynamic action roles and exceptional martial arts prowess. Born on June 17, 1976 in Sutton Coldfield, England, he developed an early interest in martial arts beginning with judo at age 10. Following a mugging at age 13, he intensified his training. Over the years, he expanded his expertise. Adkins gained international recognition for his portrayal of Yuri Boyka, a formidable Russian prison fighter in Undisputed 2 Last Man Standing in 2006. He reprised this role in subsequent sequels, solidifying his status in the action film genre. His filmography boasts a range of action-packed titles, which we will look at now. Adkins continues to be a prominent figure in action cinema, known for performing his own stunts and bringing authenticity to his roles through his extensive martial arts background. So for this video, I'm going to go through my Scott Adkins physical media collection. We're going to look at all the movies of his that I've got on Blu-ray and DVD. We're going to talk a little bit about the different versions you can get, because some of these are official, some maybe not so.
So starting off, you'll see of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I've got, ones that have certifications like this generally are the official ones, but I also have some, that's just a gap there, ignore that. I also have some that, well, as you can see, come from various different countries, and the legitimacy of these as official copies is a little bit questionable. Part of the reason for this is you just can't get physical copies of some of these. These are streaming only in some instances. You find this with certain movies nowadays, unfortunately. As a physical media collection, I do what I can. I actually kind of got suckered into buying some of these, actually thinking that they were original. And to be fair, you wouldn't know unless you look very carefully. But anyway, I'll get to those as we're going on. So, my collection, as you can see, doesn't include everything, because Scott Adkins has done quite a bit of extra work in terms of like stunt work, and he's had some like bit part in movies. For example, I mean, I could go over to my Marvel movies, the good old days of Marvel up to 2019 when it all fell apart. Well, after that, it fell apart. He was in the movie Doctor Strange in 2016. He has a role in that. So it's not got everything here. Certain films aren't in this part of it, but here goes anyway. So the way I've kind of done it, you can see what I'm kind of doing here. I've got some Keanu Reeves movies, and it kind of merges into Scott Adkins because we have a bit of a crossover there, I guess. John Wick 4, he has a part in that. If you're not sure about which part he has in the film, I'd probably not tell you. Let's leave that as a surprise. It's pretty cool. Now, this is actually a documentary. It was put out by Oliver Harper. Very good documentary about 80s and 90s action movies. So Scott Adkins was interviewed for this. It just kind of seemed like it had a good place in the shelf on there. Hard Target 2. Some people hate this movie. It is what it is. I know that's a cliche thing and a lazy thing to say, but it's a straight-to-video movie, obviously. Like, I think all of these pretty much, for the most part, anyway. It's a sequel to the Van Damme film Hard Target. There's no real connection between the two. But again, if you're a fan of Scott Adkins, you might like it. I think it's okay. It's not one of his best, and it's certainly not a worthy sequel. El Gringo, I'll just skip through because this video will be so long if I do a summary of each movie. Close Range, Two Guns, which seems to be some kind of like franchise link to the Mark Wahlberg, Denzel Washington film from 2013, I think it is. Unleashed, he's got a bit part in that. So that's a Jet Li film. Ninja. Now, from what I understand, ninjutsu was something that Scott Adkins was interested in when he was a kid, basically, and that's kind of what got him started back in the late 80s, from what I understand. So to do a couple of ninja movies for him does seem to be something that was kind of really kind of trained to do, I suppose, in a lot of ways. So this is the sequel, Shadow of a Tear. They're not bad. Pretty good films. Legacy of Lies. I seem to remember this one being pretty good. Eliminators. Look at that. Do his arms actually look like that in the film? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. He can be quite big sometimes, to be fair, but that arm looks massive. Anyway, Seized. That was Mario Van Peebles was in that. I seem to remember. Again, these are all official Blu-ray DVDs. Undisputed, now he's not in this film. This is a weird situation because you've got 4 movies, the Undisputed movies. And usually with films that come out at the cinema that get straight to video sequels, like Hard Target 2, you tend to find that the original cinema movie is the best one. And if they're even worth watching at all, the straight to video sequels are usually not as good. This, I would say, is a reverse situation. And it's weird because this is a movie that was directed by Walter Hill, who's a very good film director, very good action film director. It has Wesley Snipes, Ving Rhames, all good. Pretty decent film. Wouldn't really be interested in it if it wasn't for the sequels, because the sequels are so much better and they're straight to video, which is mental. I was going to say you never get that. Other than this, I can't think. There's probably are other instances of that, but I can't think of them. Undisputed 2, Michael Jai White plays the character that Wesley Snipes played in the previous movie, and he fights a guy called Boyka, who is played by Scott Adkins. And the Scott Adkins character in that movie is kind of a bad guy that gets kind of redeemed at the end, and he was a fan favourite. So the sequels from that point on were all about the Boyka character, so Scott Adkins kind of took the mantle from that point forward. Very good movies. So he's in 2, 3, and 4. He's not the lead role in 2. That's Michael Jai White, but then he's the lead role in 3 and 4. Pretty good films. Definitely check them out. They're some of Scott Adkins' best. And some of the work that he does in that, the martial arts, are crazy. Triple Threat. He just kind of got a bit part in that, but as you can see, pretty good cast there. Wolf Warrior. Wrong one. Wolf Warrior. I've not actually watched this one yet. I need to give it a watch. I only bought this quite recently. I think this is the way I've had this explained, it's kind of a Chinese propaganda movie, and the sequel is as well, had Frank Grillo in. But if it's a good film, it's a good film. So I need to give that a chance. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't really say much. Abduction. Now this is an import. If I've got any movies on here that are imports, they do play in the UK, and they don't have subtitles that you can't remove, because I hate it when that happens. So none of these movies have that issue, that kind of, feature. So if there's any imports on here, they are fine to play. Legendary, this was a Dolph Lundgren one. I can't remember if that was one of the first ones that he did with Dolph Lundgren. Obviously, he was in Expendables 2 with Scott Adkins, so these guys always cross over. But he did a couple of films with Dolph Lundgren from memory. Legendary, and then the next film, Castle Falls, which I think Dolph Lundgren directed. I've only seen it once, but I remember it being pretty decent, to be fair. This is a film that was being filmed during COVID, so they had to shut down production in March of 2020, and then had to kind of pick the shooting back up again. I seem to remember it being a pretty good film, that as well, surprisingly, because some of the, straight-to-video movies, anyhow. I mean, they're all good, but you know what I mean, like, quite a good film. Incoming, this is a BluRay import that I've got. Savage Dog, another import. Some of the imports you pay quite a bit of money for, depending where you get them. I tend to get them off eBay. Jarhead, I haven't watched this one. I need to. Again, I picked this one up quite recently. Sequel to the film that Jake Gyllenhaal was in, although sequel in kind of name only, I'm assuming. American Assassin. This is not a Scott Adkins film. He's not even mentioned there, but it's a very good film. I remember going to the cinema to see this when it came out. It was really good. And Scott Adkins got a bit part in it. Felt like it kind of belonged there on my shelf. One of his best ones, if not maybe, possibly even his best film, Avengement. Definitely give this a watch. He's so good, and he does some pretty good acting in this. In fact, I'll go out and say this is his best film that I've seen in terms of acting, martial arts, story. It's such a good film. It starts out a bit grim, and it feels a bit kind of depressing, but it kind of once it kind of kicks in, and there's a sense of humour to it, and there's a really good story. Definitely watch it. One shot. I've actually got 2 copies of this. Now, it's a film that's kind of plays out all in one long shot. It wasn't recorded all in one shot, although a lot of the things in there were quite long takes. But it's about something that happens on, I think it was an American base, or where there's a prisoner, a major terrorist being held, and some people try to come in and break him out, well, kill him, basically. And it's very gory, very bloody is this one. This is an import version that I've got, as you can tell. I also have, and I got this in a bundle, actually. I've got another copy of it here, which is a Chinese. That's why it's in plastic, because I've got that one there, so I really need this one, to be fair. This is a Chinese import. I don't think it's a legitimate copy. One more shot. It's missing the E off the end there, I think. This is another one, the sequel that came out last year, and it's a Chinese pirate copy, I think. These two are very good films. If Avengement isn't his best film, Accident Man 1 and 2 maybe are, because these are really good. These are films, there's Accident Man 1, Accident Man 2, Hitman's Holiday. These are two movies that were based on a comic book series that I think Scott Adkins, I don't know if he bought the rights to it or something, or one of some production company that he's involved with or linked to got the rights to. I can't remember the exact story to it, but anyway, it's a passion project of his basically, and it's really good. If you like films, well, if you would have liked the 2016 film Suicide Squad to have been good, if that's your kind of film, you might like these as well. Based on comics, like I say, but they're not superhero-y. I won't say anymore. Watch the trailers. I'm not saying too much about each of these films because, like I say, we'll be here forever. Debt Collector 1 and 2, that's an import, plays just fine on Blu-ray. Pretty decent films. Take Cover, that came out earlier this year, DVD only, and it's an official copy. From there on, there's a couple of films that cross over. He was in The Shepherd with Van Damme. That was, I can't remember exactly when it came out, around about 2010-ish, something like that. And Assassination Games, that's another Van Damme one. Both are pretty good. I think Seagal was supposed to be in Assassination Games when it was written, but they couldn't get him. So Scott Adkins was in it, and as far as I'm concerned, that's an improvement. I do like Seagal's movies, by the way. I'm not completely dissing him, but I just think at that point in his career, yeah, Scott Adkins was the better man for the job. My DVDs and Blu-rays from that point on kind of merge, just like the kind of Reeves films merged into Scott Adkins with a crossover movie. The DVDs and Blu-rays merge with Van Damme with crossover movies. It kind of goes on from there. My shelving system's very weird, very unique. But yeah, there you go anyway. So that's Scott Adkins. If there's any movies that aren't mentioned on here, definitely give him a shout out because I'd be quite interested to see them. As I say, this doesn't include all of his movies that he did stunt work and so on. I mean, for argument's sake, I could have gone into X-Men Origins Wolverine because he did some pretty good stunt work in that one as well. So anyway, I will cut it short here. That's Scott Adkins. Check him out. So I hope you got something out of this. I did recently put a video out on this channel saying that going forward there's going to be a bit more of a focus on the action genre. Obviously the 80s and 90s are generally regarded as the golden era of action cinema. But there were a lot of good things before that we can talk about, and there's been a lot of good things since, and even currently that we can talk about. So we've talked about this a lot on the channel before, and a lot of actors you're about to see were covered before and will continue to be. So enjoy.